Born in 1028 in the town of Falaise in Normandy, William's early life was marked by the stigma of illegitimacy. His father, Robert I, Duke of Normandy, had an affair with Herleva, a woman of lower status. This union, though not recognized by the church, produced a son who would later be known as William the Bastard. William the Bastard, as he was known, faced numerous challenges from the outset. His illegitimate birth made him a target for scorn and derision among the nobility. Despite this, he was determined to rise above his circumstances. He was an unlikely candidate for greatness. As a young boy, he witnessed the complexities and brutalities of medieval politics. His father's untimely death left him vulnerable, and he had to navigate a treacherous path to secure his inheritance. An illegitimate son, he inherited the Duchy of Normandy at a young age, facing instability and rebellion. The young duke had to fend off numerous attempts on his life and quell uprisings from rebellious vassals who saw his youth and illegitimacy as weaknesses to exploit. Yet William proved to be a shrewd ruler and a formidable warrior. His strategic acumen and relentless determination allowed him to consolidate his power. He built alliances, crushed rebellions, and fortified his position as the Duke of Normandy. Consolidating his power in Normandy was no small feat. He implemented reforms, strengthened his military, and ensured loyalty through a combination of fear and respect. His rule brought stability to a region that had been plagued by chaos. His sights, however, were set on a grander prize, the throne of England. The allure of ruling a kingdom as vast and prosperous as England was too great to resist. William's ambition knew no bounds, and he began to lay the groundwork for his claim. William claimed King Edward the Confessor, his distant cousin, had promised him the English crown. This promise, made during a time of political maneuvering, became the cornerstone of William's claim to the English throne. When Edward died in 1066, the English nobility chose Harold Godwinson as king, a decision that infuriated William. He saw Harold's coronation as a direct affront to his rightful claim and a betrayal of Edward's promise, infuriating William and igniting the fuse for war. William was not one to back down from a challenge. He began to prepare for an invasion, rallying his forces and seeking support from other European leaders. William's claim was not without merit, at least in his own eyes. He believed that his familial ties and the promise made by Edward gave him a legitimate right to the English throne. This belief fueled his resolve and justified his actions. He felt a familial tie to England and believed he was the rightful heir. This sense of destiny drove him to take bold and decisive actions. He was determined to fulfill what he saw as his rightful destiny. He used this belief to rally his Norman forces. He spoke of their shared destiny and the glory that awaited them in England. His charisma and conviction inspired his men to follow him into the unknown, promising them riches and glory in the conquest of England. William knew that to motivate his troops, he needed to offer them tangible rewards. The promise of land, wealth, and titles in a new kingdom was a powerful incentive. With unwavering determination, William gathered a fleet and prepared to cross the English Channel. This was no small undertaking. It required meticulous planning, resources, and unwavering resolve, an audacious gamble that would forever alter the course of English history. The crossing of the English Channel was fraught with danger, but William's determination and strategic brilliance would soon change the fate of two nations. The year 1066 marked a turning point in English history. It was a year of monumental change, upheaval, and transformation that would shape the future of the nation for centuries to come. The events that unfolded during this pivotal year were nothing short of dramatic, with battles, invasions, and a shift in power that would leave an indelible mark on the English landscape and its people. William's invasion fleet landed at Pevensey Bay in September, catching the English by surprise. The Normans, led by William the Conqueror, had crossed the treacherous English Channel with a formidable force, determined to claim the English throne. Their arrival was swift and unexpected, sending shockwaves through the English defences and setting the stage for a confrontation that would change the course of history. King Harold, having just defeated another invasion force in the north, raced south to confront this new threat. His forces were weary from the recent Battle of Stamford Bridge, where they had successfully repelled a Viking invasion. Despite their exhaustion, Harold's troops marched with determination, knowing that the fate of their kingdom hung in the balance. The urgency of their journey underscored the gravity of the situation as they prepared to face the Norman invaders. The two armies clashed at the Battle of Hastings on October 14, 1066. The battlefield, located near the town of Hastings, became the stage for one of the most significant battles in English history. The Normans, with their well-trained cavalry and archers, faced off against the English forces, who relied heavily on their shield wall formation. The tension was palpable as both sides prepared for a fight that would determine the future of the English crown. The battle raged throughout the day, a brutal and bloody affair. The air was thick with the sounds of clashing swords, the cries of the wounded, and the relentless charge of cavalry. Both sides fought with unwavering resolve, knowing that the outcome of this battle would shape the destiny of their nation. The intensity of the combat was matched only by the bravery of the soldiers who fought on both sides. English forces fought bravely, relying on their traditional shield wall, but the Normans possessed a decisive advantage cavalry. The shield wall, a formidable defensive tactic, was designed to withstand frontal assaults. However, the Norman cavalry, with their mobility and striking power, repeatedly tested the resilience of the English lines. The clash of tactics and strategies added a layer of complexity to the battle as each side sought to outmaneuver the other. Norman knights, clad in chainmail and wielding lances, repeatedly hammered the English lines. Their relentless charges, combined with the support of archers, began to wear down the English defences. The sight of the heavily armoured knights charging with lances poised to strike was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The English soldiers, though valiant, struggled to hold their ground against the onslaught. The decisive moment came when King Harold himself fell, struck down by an arrow through the eye. This moment, immortalized in the Bayeux tapestry, marked the turning point of the battle. With their leader fallen, the morale of the English troops plummeted. The loss of their king was a devastating blow, and the once cohesive shield wall began to falter. With their king dead, the English resistance crumbled. The once formidable shield wall disintegrated as soldiers fled the battlefield. The Normans, seizing the opportunity, pressed their advantage, driving the English forces into a chaotic retreat. The battlefield, once a scene of fierce combat, was now littered with the fallen and the fleeing. William, against all odds, was victorious. His triumph at the Battle of Hastings secured his claim to the English throne and marked the beginning of a new era in English history. The Norman conquest brought profound changes to the social, political, and cultural landscape of England, leaving a legacy that would endure for generations. The year 1066, indeed, was the year everything changed. William's victory at Hastings had far-reaching consequences. The Battle of Hastings in 1066 was not just a clash of armies, but a pivotal moment that would reshape the entire social and political landscape of England. The triumph of William the Conqueror marked the end of Anglo-Saxon rule and the beginning of a new era under Norman control. England, once ruled by Anglo-Saxons, was now under Norman control. The transition was not merely a change in leadership, but a complete overhaul of the existing systems and structures. The Anglo-Saxon way of life, which had been prevalent for centuries, was about to be transformed in ways the English people could scarcely imagine. William, crowned King William I on Christmas Day 1066, wasted no time in asserting his authority and reshaping the English landscape. His coronation was a grand affair, symbolizing the dawn of a new era. William's vision for England was clear: to establish a strong, centralized monarchy that would ensure his dominance and control over the land. One of his most significant actions was the introduction of feudalism, a system of land ownership and loyalty to England. Feudalism was not just a method of governance, but a way to secure loyalty and service from his subjects. It was a hierarchical system where the king granted land to his most trusted nobles, who in turn would offer military support and allegiance. He confiscated the lands of English nobles who had opposed him and granted them to his loyal Norman followers. This redistribution of land was a strategic move to weaken the power of the existing English nobility and to reward those who had supported him. The new landowners, mostly Normans, were bound to William by ties of loyalty and mutual obligation. These Norman lords swore allegiance to William, pledging military service in exchange for their land. This feudal contract was the cornerstone of William's strategy to maintain control over England. The lords in turn would have vassals under them, creating a network of loyalty and service that extended throughout the kingdom. This created a new ruling class in England, loyal to the Norman king and bound by oaths of fealty. The old Anglo-Saxon elite was replaced by Norman lords who were deeply invested in maintaining William's rule. This new aristocracy played a crucial role in the administration and defense of the realm. Feudalism, with its emphasis on loyalty and obligation, became the bedrock of Norman rule. It was a system that ensured stability and order in a time of great change. The legacy of William's introduction of feudalism would endure for centuries, shaping the social and political fabric of England in profound ways. To consolidate his hold on England, William embarked on an ambitious castle-building program. Castles, imposing structures of stone, served as both defensive strongholds and symbols of Norman power. They were strategically placed throughout the country, a constant reminder of William's authority. These castles, often built on hilltops or at strategic river crossings, allowed Norman lords to control the surrounding countryside and defend against rebellion. The Tower of London, one of the most famous castles in England, was begun under William's reign. The construction of castles had a profound impact on the English landscape, transforming it into a land dotted with fortifications. These castles, symbols of Norman dominance, became integral to the administration and defense of William's new kingdom. In 1085, William I commissioned the creation of the Domesday Book, a comprehensive survey of landholdings and resources in England. This monumental undertaking was unprecedented in its scale and ambition, aimed at assessing the wealth of the nation and ensuring efficient tax collection. Royal officials travelled throughout the land, meticulously recording the ownership, value and use of every piece of land. The Domesday Book, named for its perceived finality and judgment, provided William with an unparalleled level of detail about his new kingdom. The Domesday Book is a treasure trove of information for historians, offering a unique glimpse into the social, economic and demographic landscape of 11th century England. It remains a testament to William's administrative prowess and his desire to establish a strong centralized government. England, 1135. A land of rolling hills, ancient forests and bustling villages. The air was thick with the scent of blooming flowers and the distant sound of church bells. But beneath this serene surface, a storm was brewing. William the Conqueror was dead. The man who had crossed the English Channel and claimed the throne with an iron fist was no more. His legacy, however, cast a long shadow over the land. Gone. His iron grip on England loosened. The crown, once a symbol of unyielding power, now lay in the dirt, a prize for the taking. The throne room, once a place of order, was now in disarray, reflecting the chaos that was to come. His sons, William Rufus and Henry I, ruled after him. They wore the crown, but it was a heavy burden. Their reigns were marked by strife and uncertainty as they struggled to maintain their father's legacy. But their reigns were short, uneasy. The land was restless, and the people yearned for stability. Castles were besieged, and battlefields were littered with the fallen. The scent of blood and smoke filled the air. Now, a new fight for the throne began. Knights donned their armor, and soldiers marched to the beat of war drums. The clash of steel and the cries of battle echoed across the land, a fight that would tear England apart. Villages burned and commoners fled in terror. The land was engulfed in flames and the future seemed uncertain. This was the dawn of anarchy. England was a prize. Many wanted her. Powerful nobles watched. They waited. They plotted in the shadows, each one vying for a chance to seize the crown and claim the throne. Who would seize the crown? The question hung heavy in the air. Banners were raised and allegiances were tested. The fate of England rested on the edge of a sword. The air crackled with tension. Every council meeting was a powder keg ready to explode. The sky above seemed to mirror the turmoil below, dark and foreboding. The stench of war lingered. Smoke rose from battlefields, and soldiers, weary and grim, trudged through a war-torn landscape. The land was scarred, and the people were weary, yet amidst the chaos, hope flickered. For in the darkest of times, heroes are born, and legends are forged. Henry I had a problem. No sons, only a daughter, Matilda. He declared her his heir. The nobles swore oaths they would support her. But when Henry died, chaos erupted. His nephew Stephen of Blois saw his chance. Stephen was ambitious, ruthless. He seized the throne. Matilda was furious. She was the rightful queen. England was plunged into civil war. Matilda versus Stephen, a fight for the soul of a nation. The war raged on, a seemingly endless conflict that consumed the lives of countless soldiers and civilians alike. Years bled into decades, and the land was soaked with the blood of those who fought for power and control. Neither side could gain the upper hand, and the struggle seemed destined to continue indefinitely. From this chaos rose two remarkable figures, destined to change the course of history: Henry, the determined son of Matilda, and Eleanor, the formidable Duchess of Aquitaine. Their paths were set on a collision course that would alter the fate of nations. Henry was a young man ablaze with ambition. His eyes burned with a fierce determination, and his heart was set on achieving greatness. He was not content to merely exist. He sought to carve out a legacy that would be remembered for generations. Eleanor, on the other hand, was older and wiser. Her beauty was matched only by her intelligence and political acumen. She wielded power with grace and authority, commanding respect and admiration from all who knew her. They were an unlikely pair, their union surprising many, yet despite their differences they shared a common goal: the pursuit of power and influence. Their marriage was not just a union of hearts, but a strategic alliance that would reshape the political landscape of Europe. Henry and Eleanor's marriage was a grand affair, celebrated with pomp and splendor. It was a union that symbolized the merging of two powerful dynasties, and it sent shockwaves through the courts of Europe. Their combined strength and ambition made them a formidable force to be reckoned with. Their union was not just a personal alliance, but a political one that had far-reaching implications. The marriage of Henry and Eleanor brought together vast territories and resources, creating a power bloc that threatened the established order. The ripples of their union were felt across the continent, as other rulers watched with a mix of awe and apprehension. Eleanor's past added an extra layer of intrigue to their story. She had previously been married to Louis VII, the King of France. Her marriage to Henry was not just a personal choice, but a bold political move that defied expectations and norms. Now, as Henry's queen, Eleanor brought with her a wealth of experience and a network of alliances. She was not just a consort, but a partner in power, and her influence was felt in every decision that Henry made. Together, Henry and Eleanor's combined might was formidable. They were a power couple in every sense of the word, their ambitions and resources intertwined to create a force that few could challenge. Their reign was marked by both triumphs and trials as they navigated the complex web of medieval politics. With their sights set on England, Henry and Eleanor embarked on a journey that would see them rise to the pinnacle of power. Their story is one of ambition, strategy, and the relentless pursuit of greatness, a tale that continues to captivate and inspire to this day. 1154. Stephen was broken. The long and brutal civil war known as the Anarchy had taken its toll on the kingdom and its people. The land was ravaged and the people were weary. Stephen, once a formidable king, now stood defeated, his spirit crushed by years of relentless conflict. He agreed to a truce. The terms were clear. Stephen would remain king for the rest of his life, but upon his death, the crown would pass to his rival's heir, Henry. This agreement brought a fragile peace to the war-torn land, a glimmer of hope for a better future. Henry would be king after him. England breathed again. The anarchy was over. The people, exhausted by years of strife, welcomed the promise of stability and order. The coronation of Henry marked the beginning of a new era, one that held the potential to heal the wounds of the past. Henry II, grandson of the Conqueror, was King of England. His lineage was strong, his claim to the throne undisputed. The young king, with the weight of his ancestors' legacy on his shoulders, was determined to restore the glory of his realm. He was just 21 years old. Yet despite his youth, Henry possessed a wisdom and resolve beyond his years. He was a ruler with a vision, a leader ready to face the challenges that lay ahead. Henry was no puppet king. He was strong, determined to restore order. He surrounded himself with loyal advisors and capable commanders, men who shared his vision for a unified and prosperous England. Together they set out to rebuild the kingdom, to bring justice and stability to the land. He had a vision for England, a unified kingdom, a realm where the king's authority was respected and the rule of law prevailed. Henry's ambition was to create a legacy that would endure, to be remembered as a king who brought peace and prosperity to his people. But one man stood in his way, a man whose influence and power rivaled his own, a man who had once been his closest ally but now posed the greatest threat to his reign. Thomas Becket, his friend, his Archbishop of Canterbury. Their bond, once unbreakable, was now strained by ambition and duty. The stage was set for a confrontation that would shape the future of England, a clash between a king's will and a priest's defiance. Section 5. Murder in the Cathedral. Becket was a man of God. He defied Henry. He protected the church's power. Henry was enraged. His words dripped with fury. "Will no one rid me of this turbulent priest?" he raged. 4 knights heard his plea. They rode to Canterbury. They found Becket. They cut him down, murdered him in his own cathedral. Section 6. The Lionheart roars. The murder sent shockwaves throughout Christendom. Henry was devastated. He had not wanted this. He did penance. But his grip on power was secure. He had other sons. Richard, the Lionheart, a warrior king in the making. Richard was fearless, a skilled soldier. He dreamed of glory, of adventure. He would find it in the Holy Land. Section 7. Crusade and Captivity. The Holy Land called. Jerusalem had fallen to Saladin, a Muslim leader. Richard answered the call. He joined the Third Crusade. He fought like a man possessed. He won victories, but he could not retake Jerusalem. On his journey home, disaster struck. Richard was captured, held for ransom. Section 8. Legacy of the Lionheart. England paid dearly for Richard's release. He returned a hero, but his reign was short. He died in battle in France. Richard the Lionheart, a king of contradictions, a crusader king who spent little time in his own kingdom. Section 9. Conclusion. An empire forged in blood and fire, from the chaos of anarchy to the Crusades. The Plantagenets left their mark. They were warriors, they were lovers. Their story is a saga of ambition, of betrayal, of blood and fire. They shaped England's destiny. Their legacy echoes through the ages. The Plantagenets, the warrior kings and queens who made England. King John ascended the English throne in 1199. His rise to power was not marked by the usual fanfare and celebration that often accompanies the coronation of a new monarch. Instead, it was a time of uncertainty and trepidation for the kingdom. He was the youngest son of Henry II and Eleanor of Aquitaine. His parents were formidable figures in their own right, with Henry II being a powerful and influential king, and Eleanor of Aquitaine, one of the most remarkable women of the medieval period, known for her intelligence and political acumen. Unlike his charismatic brother, Richard the Lionheart, John was unpopular. Richard was celebrated for his bravery and military prowess, earning a legendary status that John could never hope to match. The shadow of Richard's legacy loomed large over John, making his own shortcomings even more apparent. He was seen as cruel, greedy, and untrustworthy. His reputation was marred by his ruthless actions and his inability to inspire loyalty among his subjects. The people of England viewed him with suspicion and disdain, further isolating him from those he was meant to lead. John's reign was marked by a series of failures. His inability to secure victories on the battlefield and his poor decision-making led to numerous defeats. These failures not only weakened his position, but also drained the kingdom's resources. He lost land, fought costly wars, and faced rebellion from his own barons. The loss of territories in France was particularly devastating as it diminished the kingdom's influence and power. The barons, frustrated by his incompetence, began to openly defy his authority. John's reign is a cautionary tale of how not to rule. John's troubles began early. From the moment he took the throne, he was beset by challenges and conflicts that he was ill-equipped to handle. His inability to effectively manage these issues only compounded his problems. He faced challenges from the start. His claim to the throne was not universally accepted, leading to disputes and power struggles that undermined his authority. The political landscape of the time was fraught with tension, and John struggled to navigate it successfully. His claim to the throne was contested. Many believed that his nephew, Arthur of Brittany, had a stronger claim. This dispute over succession created a rift within the royal family and provided John's enemies with an opportunity to challenge his rule. His nephew, Arthur of Brittany, also had a claim. Arthur's supporters rallied against John, leading to a bitter conflict that further destabilized the kingdom. The rivalry between John and Arthur was emblematic of the broader struggles that plagued his reign. John dealt with this opposition brutally. He captured Arthur and likely had him killed. This act of brutality was intended to eliminate a rival, but instead it cemented John's reputation as a ruthless and untrustworthy ruler. He captured Arthur and likely had him killed. This ruthless act did not go unnoticed and further alienated him from his subjects and allies. It was a clear demonstration of his willingness to use any means necessary to maintain his grip on power. This act solidified John's image as a ruthless ruler. His reputation for cruelty and greed overshadowed any positive aspects of his reign. The people of England came to see him as a tyrant, more concerned with his own power than the well-being of his kingdom. Adding to his woes, John was a poor military strategist. His campaigns were often poorly planned and executed, leading to disastrous outcomes. His inability to lead effectively on the battlefield was a significant factor in his overall failure as a king. He led England into disastrous campaigns. These military failures not only weakened the kingdom, but also drained its resources. The cost of these campaigns was immense, both in terms of money and lives lost. These campaigns drained the royal treasury. The financial strain placed on the kingdom was immense, leading to increased taxes and further resentment among the populace. John's inability to manage the kingdom's finances was yet another mark against his reign. John's constant need for money further alienated him from his barons. The high taxes he imposed to fund his military campaigns and lavish lifestyle were deeply unpopular. The barons, already frustrated with his rule, became even more discontented. They resented his high taxes and arbitrary rule. The barons felt that John was exploiting his position for personal gain, rather than governing in the best interests of the kingdom. This resentment eventually boiled over into open rebellion. By 1204, John had earned the nickname John Lackland. This moniker was a reflection of his numerous territorial losses and his inability to maintain control over the lands that were rightfully his. He had lost vast territories in France. These included Normandy, the ancestral homeland of the English kings. The loss of these lands was a significant blow to the kingdom's prestige and power. These included Normandy, the ancestral homeland of the English kings. The loss of Normandy was particularly painful, as it had been a core part of the English crown's holdings for generations. This loss was a major blow to John's prestige. It undermined his authority and made him appear weak in the eyes of his subjects and rivals. The loss of these territories was a clear indication of his failure as a ruler. It also weakened his hold on the English throne. The loss of these lands and the subsequent financial strain made it difficult for John to maintain control over his kingdom. His authority was constantly challenged, and his reign was marked by instability. John's reign was one of crisis and conflict. His inability to rule effectively led to a series of crises that further weakened his position. The kingdom was in a constant state of turmoil, with John struggling to maintain control. His inability to rule effectively led to the most significant challenge of his reign, the baronial revolt and the creation of Magna Carta. This document, forced upon John by his rebellious barons, was a direct response to his misrule and marked a turning point in English history. It was a clear indication that John's reign had been a failure, and it set the stage for future conflicts between the monarchy and the nobility. The loss of Normandy in 1204 was a defining moment in John's reign. This event marked a significant turning point not just for John personally, but for the entire English realm. The repercussions of this loss were felt far and wide, altering the course of English history in profound ways. It was a military and symbolic disaster. The defeat on the battlefield was a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities of the English forces. The ruins left behind were a testament to the devastation and the high cost of the conflict. Normandy had been the heartland of the Anglo-Norman realm for centuries. Its castles and landscapes were not just strategic assets, but also symbols of the deep-rooted connection between England and Normandy. The architecture stood as a reminder of the shared history and cultural ties that spanned generations. Its loss was a huge blow to English prestige. The English court, once proud and influential, now faced a significant decline in its standing. The ruins of once mighty castles were a stark visual of this diminished prestige. It also had significant economic and political consequences. The bustling markets and thriving economy of Normandy were integral to the wealth of the English crown. Political gatherings that once discussed expansion now had to grapple with loss and retreat. The Norman territories were wealthy and fertile. The lush farmlands and productive agricultural fields were a source of immense revenue and sustenance. This wealth was crucial for the prosperity of the English kingdom. They provided English kings with significant revenue. The treasuries filled with coins and the efficient tax collection systems were vital for funding the kingdom's needs. This revenue stream was essential for maintaining the royal court and funding military campaigns. Losing this income put a strain on John's finances. The once full treasuries now echoed with emptiness, and the tax collectors faced increasing difficulties in gathering funds. This financial strain was a constant source of worry for John. He increasingly resorted to extortionate taxes to fund his wars and lavish lifestyle. The demands for money grew more frequent and more desperate, leading to widespread resentment. Soldiers and courtiers alike felt the pinch of these heavy taxes. This further alienated him from his barons, who resented his demands for money. The barons, already discontented, found their patience wearing thin. The councils that once supported the king now harbored deep-seated anger and frustration. The loss of Normandy also shifted the balance of power in France. The maps of the time showed a clear shift in territorial control, with King Philip II of France gaining significant ground. The French court celebrated this newfound advantage. The French king, Philip II, gained the upper hand. His soldiers, emboldened by their victories, prepared for further conquests. Philip's strategic acumen and military prowess were now undeniable. He now posed a direct threat to England. The French fleet and the meticulous battle planning indicated that Philip had his sights set on further expansion. The English kingdom had to brace itself for potential invasions. John's failure to defend Normandy made him appear weak and incompetent. The image of a defeated king in despair became a common sight. The court, once a place of order, now descended into turmoil and uncertainty. This emboldened his enemies, both at home and abroad. Rebels within the kingdom saw an opportunity to challenge John's authority. The armies that once defended the realm now faced sieges and internal strife. The loss of Normandy had a profound psychological impact on the English. The townsfolk, knights and courtiers all felt a deep sense of loss. The connection to Normandy was not just political but also deeply personal for many. It severed a historical and cultural link with mainland Europe. The maps now showed a clear divide, and the cultural exchanges that once flourished began to wane. The sense of belonging to a larger European community was diminished. England was now truly an island kingdom. The English Channel became a more pronounced barrier, both physically and psychologically. The ships that once sailed freely now faced a more isolated and insular existence. This fostered a sense of isolation and vulnerability. The castles and coastal defences were now more critical than ever. The countryside, once connected to a broader realm, now felt the weight of isolation. It also contributed to the growing resentment towards John, who was blamed for the humiliation. The portraits of John became symbols of failure, and the public dissent grew louder. The barons and common folk alike found a common cause in their dissatisfaction with the king. The loss of Normandy was a turning point in English history. The historical timelines marked this event as a significant shift. The maps showed the collapse of the once mighty Angevin Empire. It marked the end of the Angevin Empire. The lands that once formed a vast empire were now fragmented. The castles that once stood as symbols of power now marked the boundaries of a diminished realm. It also set the stage for the baronial revolt and the creation of Magna Carta. The discontent that brewed from the loss of Normandy culminated in a demand for change. The Magna Carta, a document that would shape the future of governance, was born from this period of turmoil and transformation. By 1215, England was on the brink of civil war. King John's tyrannical rule, his disastrous military campaigns, and his relentless demands for money had pushed the barons to their limit. They rose up in rebellion, demanding that the king respect their rights and liberties. The barons had a range of grievances. They resented John's arbitrary rule. He ignored their traditional privileges. They were also unhappy with his constant demands for financial contributions. John used these funds to finance his failed wars and lavish lifestyle. The barons were further angered by John's disregard for the law. He abused his power. He imprisoned people without trial and imposed heavy fines without cause. The barons saw this as a threat to their own safety and property. They decided to take a stand. In early 1215, a group of powerful barons renounced their oaths of allegiance to John. They gathered support from other disgruntled nobles. They also sought the backing of the church. The barons marched on London, capturing the city with little resistance. John, facing overwhelming opposition, was forced to negotiate. The stage was set for a confrontation that would change the course of English history. In June 1215, King John met the rebel barons at Runnymede, a meadow near Windsor Castle. The atmosphere was tense. Both sides came armed, prepared for a confrontation that could change the course of English history. The barons, however, held the upper hand. They were not just a group of disgruntled nobles. They represented a powerful coalition with a clear agenda. They had military strength and the support of the people. The common folk, weary of the king's heavy-handed rule and excessive taxation, stood firmly behind the barons. John, facing defeat, had little choice but to negotiate. His advisors, aware of the dire situation, urged him to make concessions to avoid a full-scale rebellion. The barons presented him with a document that outlined their grievances and demands. This was not a mere list of complaints, but a carefully crafted charter aimed at limiting the king's power. This document, known as the Articles of the Barons, formed the basis of Magna Carta. It was a revolutionary text that sought to establish a new order. Under duress, John agreed to the barons' demands. His reluctance was evident, but he had no other viable option. He sealed the Magna Carta on June 15, 1215. This act was not just a symbolic gesture, but a binding agreement that would alter the governance of the realm. The Great Charter, as it became known, was a victory for the barons. It was a testament to their resolve and strategic acumen. It was also a significant moment in the development of English law and government. The principles enshrined in Magna Carta would resonate through the centuries. Magna Carta was not a single document, but a charter with multiple copies. These copies were distributed across the kingdom to ensure its terms were known and upheld. This ensured its wider circulation and limited the king's ability to suppress it. The barons were meticulous in their efforts to safeguard their hard-won rights. The sealing of Magna Carta did not bring immediate peace. Tensions remained high and conflicts continued to flare up. However, it marked a turning point in the relationship between the king and his subjects. The balance of power had shifted, and the king could no longer rule with absolute authority. Magna Carta established the principle that even the king was subject to the law. This was a radical departure from the notion of divine right and absolute monarchy. It was a landmark achievement in the struggle for freedom and liberty. The Charter laid the groundwork for future legal and constitutional developments. It would have a profound impact on the development of democracy in England and beyond. The principles of Magna Carta would inspire generations to come, influencing legal systems and democratic institutions around the world. England in the mid-15th century was a land of simmering tensions. Decades earlier, the 100 Years' War with France had drained the country's resources. Yet, a far greater threat to England's stability was brewing within its own borders. The rivalry between two powerful houses, both with a claim to the throne. In one corner stood the House of Lancaster, symbolized by the red rose. They traced their lineage back to Edward III, a warrior king whose reign saw England's early triumphs in the 100 Years' War. Challenging them was the House of York, represented by the White Rose. The Yorkists also descended from Edward III, claiming a more direct line of succession through a different son. This dynastic dispute would become the catalyst for a brutal and bloody conflict, the Wars of the Roses. Henry VI, the Lancastrian king, was a man of deep piety and gentle disposition. A scholar at heart, he was ill-suited for the harsh realities of rule. He ascended the throne as a mere child, his reign marked by periods of regency and political maneuvering by ambitious nobles. As Henry matured, it became increasingly evident that he suffered from bouts of mental instability. Henry's wife, Margaret of Anjou, emerged as a formidable figure during this time. Margaret's political acumen and unwavering ambition made her a key player in the unfolding drama of the Wars of the Roses. Exploiting the growing discontent among the nobility, Richard, Duke of York, positioned himself as a viable alternative, pushing England closer to the precipice of all-out war. Richard of York, a skilled military leader and shrewd politician, declared himself the rightful King of England in 1460. His claim was based on his descent from Edward III, which he believed gave him a stronger right to the throne than the reigning Lancastrian king, Henry VI. This bold move ignited the conflict that would consume England for the next 3 decades. Known as the Wars of the Roses, this series of dynastic wars pitted the houses of York and Lancaster against each other in a brutal struggle for the English crown. Despite initial successes, Richard of York was killed in battle in 1460. His death at the Battle of Wakefield was a significant blow to the Yorkist cause, but it did not end their ambitions. However, his death only served to galvanize his supporters, who rallied behind his eldest son, Edward. Edward, just 18 years old at the time, took up his father's mantle with determination and vigor. Young, charismatic, and a gifted warrior, Edward embodied the chivalric ideal and quickly gained popular support. His leadership qualities and military prowess made him a natural leader for the Yorkist cause. In 1461, at the Battle of Towton, Edward decisively defeated the Lancastrian forces. This battle, one of the largest and bloodiest of the Wars of the Roses, solidified Edward's claim to the throne. Edward IV, as he became known, was crowned King of England, ushering in a new era of Yorkist rule. His coronation marked the beginning of a new chapter in English history, one that promised stability and prosperity. Edward's reign, though marked by periods of instability, was a time of relative peace and prosperity for war-weary England. His efforts to strengthen the economy and maintain law and order were largely successful, bringing a sense of normalcy to the kingdom. However, the deposed Lancastrians and their supporters remained a potent threat, waiting for the right moment to strike back at the Yorkist regime. Their continued resistance ensured that the struggle for the English crown was far from over, setting the stage for further conflicts in the years to come. The Wars of the Roses were far from over. The conflict, which had already seen so much bloodshed and turmoil, was about to enter one of its most tumultuous phases. In 1470, a dramatic turn of events saw Edward IV deposed and the Lancastrian king Henry VI briefly restored to the throne. This unexpected shift in power sent shockwaves through the kingdom, altering the course of history. This dramatic reversal was orchestrated by Richard Neville, Earl of Warwick, a powerful nobleman known as the Kingmaker. Warwick's influence and strategic acumen were legendary, and his actions would shape the fate of England. Warwick, once a staunch Yorkist supporter, had grown disillusioned with Edward IV's rule. His dissatisfaction stemmed from political disagreements and personal grievances, leading him to reconsider his loyalties. He switched allegiances, allying himself with the Lancastrians and facilitating Henry VI's return. This alliance was a bold and risky move, but Warwick believed it was necessary to restore balance and order. Edward was forced to flee to exile, seeking refuge in Burgundy. His departure marked a low point for the Yorkist cause, but Edward was not one to give up easily. However, Edward IV was not a man easily defeated. His time in exile was spent gathering support and planning his return. He was determined to reclaim his throne and restore his family's honor. He returned to England in 1471 with a vengeance, determined to reclaim his throne and crush his enemies. His return was marked by a series of swift and decisive actions that would change the course of the war. In a swift and decisive campaign, he defeated Warwick at the Battle of Barnet, killing the Kingmaker and scattering the Lancastrian forces. This victory was a turning point, solidifying Edward's position and weakening his enemies. Edward's triumph culminated in the Battle of Tewkesbury, where the Lancastrians suffered a crushing defeat. This battle effectively ended the Lancastrian threat, securing Edward's reign and bringing a temporary peace to the war-torn kingdom. Edward IV's unexpected death in 1483 at the age of 40 plunged England back into uncertainty. He left behind 2 young sons, Edward V, aged 12, and Richard, Duke of York, aged 9. Edward V was proclaimed king, but his reign would be short-lived and tragic. Edward IV's brother, Richard, Duke of Gloucester, was appointed Lord Protector of the realm. Richard, a skilled military leader and administrator, had been a loyal supporter of his brother. However, Richard's ambition proved to be his undoing. He declared his nephews illegitimate, claiming that Edward IV's marriage was invalid. In a calculated move, Richard seized the throne for himself, becoming Richard III in July 1483. Richard III's usurpation of the throne did not go unchallenged. Opposition to his rule coalesced around the figure of Henry Tudor, Earl of Richmond. Henry, a distant relative of the Lancastrians, represented a unified front against Richard's perceived tyranny. In 1485, Henry Tudor landed in Wales with a small force, determined to wrest the crown from Richard III. The two armies met near Market Bosworth in Leicestershire, the stage set for a decisive clash. The Battle of Bosworth Field was a brutal and closely fought encounter. Richard III, a courageous warrior, fought valiantly but was betrayed by key allies who switched sides. Henry Tudor's victory at Bosworth Field marked the end of the Plantagenet dynasty, which had ruled England for over 3 centuries. With Richard III's death at Bosworth, the path was clear for Henry Tudor to claim the throne as Henry VII. His victory ushered in a new era for England, marking the beginning of the Tudor dynasty. Henry VII, acutely aware of the precarious nature of his claim to the throne, moved swiftly to consolidate his power. He married Elizabeth of York, daughter of Edward IV, thus uniting the warring houses of Lancaster and York. Recognizing that the nobility had been the driving force behind the Wars of the Roses, Henry VII implemented policies to curb their power. Henry VII's reign marked the beginning of a period of stability and prosperity for England. The Wars of the Roses, though ultimately won by the Tudors, cast a long shadow over England. This series of dynastic conflicts fought between the houses of Lancaster and York spanned 3 decades from 1455 to 1487. The name Wars of the Roses comes from the emblems of the 2 rival houses, the Red Rose of Lancaster and the White Rose of York. The conflict had a profound impact on the country's social, political and dynastic landscape. It wasn't just a series of battles, it was a struggle that reshaped the very fabric of English society. The wars disrupted daily life, altered the course of governance and left a legacy that would influence England for generations to come. One of the most significant consequences of the Wars of the Roses was the decimation of the old nobility. Many of the great noble families were either wiped out or severely weakened. The power vacuum left by their demise allowed for new families to rise to prominence, forever changing the landscape of English aristocracy. Decades of conflict had resulted in the deaths of many powerful lords and their heirs. The relentless fighting and shifting allegiances meant that no family was safe from the turmoil. The loss of so many influential figures created a ripple effect that was felt throughout the kingdom. This paved the way for the rise of a new class of gentry, who would come to play an increasingly important role in Tudor England. These new power players were often more loyal to the crown and more invested in the stability of the realm, helping to usher in a new era of governance and social order. The Wars of the Roses also left an indelible mark on the English psyche. The tales of heroism, betrayal and tragedy became woven into the cultural fabric of the nation. These stories were not just historical accounts, they became legends that were told and retold, shaping the collective memory of the people. The stories of the Wars of the Roses, passed down through generations, would continue to fascinate and inspire. From the fireside tales told by grandparents to the chronicles written by historians, the legacy of these wars lived on. They served as cautionary tales and sources of inspiration, influencing literature, art, and even the political discourse of later centuries. The Wars of the Roses served as a brutal yet pivotal chapter in English history, shaping the destiny of a nation. The conflicts not only determined the future of the English throne, but also set the stage for the rise of the Tudor dynasty, which would go on to leave an indelible mark on the history of England and the world. The Wars of the Roses, though a distant chapter in England's past, continue to captivate and intrigue us today. The conflict has been the subject of countless books, films, television shows and plays. William Shakespeare's historical plays particularly, and have played a significant role in shaping popular perceptions. Through his masterful storytelling, Shakespeare brought the drama, intrigue, and tragedy of this era to life. In recent years, there has been a resurgence of interest in the Wars of the Roses, fueled by historical novels, documentaries, and television series. The Wars of the Roses, though a time of great upheaval and bloodshed, also represent a pivotal moment in English history. As we continue to explore and reimagine the Wars of the Roses, we gain a deeper understanding of our shared past and the enduring power of history to shape our present. When love and power collide, a king changes history forever. Henry VIII, the king who redefined what it meant to rule. His reign wasn't just about power. It was about breaking traditions and forging a new path for England. In his quest for a male heir, Henry broke from the Catholic Church, birthing the Church of England. Imagine the shockwaves: monasteries dissolved, and England's religious landscape changed overnight. Henry's decision to break from Rome was not just a political maneuver, but a deeply personal one. His desire to annul his marriage to Catherine of Aragon, who had failed to produce a male heir, led him to challenge the authority of the Pope. This act of defiance set the stage for the English Reformation, a movement that would forever alter the religious fabric of the nation. Henry's reign was marked by a series of dramatic events and personal dramas. His 6 marriages are legendary, each wife leaving a unique mark on his legacy. Catherine of Aragon, his first wife, was a Spanish princess and the mother of his daughter, Mary. Despite their long marriage, Henry's obsession with securing a male heir led to their eventual separation. Anne Boleyn, the enchanting second queen, captivated Henry's heart but met a tragic end with the swing of an axe. Her execution sent shockwaves through the court and the country. Jane Seymour, Henry's third wife, finally gave him his long-desired son Edward, but she paid with her life shortly after childbirth. Anne of Cleves, the Flanders mare, was divorced in a heartbeat, their marriage lasting only a few months. Catherine Howard, youthful and doomed, also faced the executioner's blade, accused of adultery. Lastly, Catherine Parr, the survivor, who outlived Henry and went on to marry again. Henry's reign wasn't just a series of personal dramas, it was a time of monumental change. The dissolution of the monasteries stripped the church of its wealth and power, filling the royal coffers and dismantling centuries of monastic tradition. Wars, both foreign and domestic, marked his rule, shifting the balance of power in Europe. Henry's military campaigns in France and Scotland were costly and often met with mixed success, but they demonstrated his determination to assert England's dominance on the European stage. Domestically, his reign saw the Pilgrimage of Grace, a massive uprising in response to his religious reforms which he brutally suppressed. Henry VIII, a man of many contradictions, a king whose personal desires reshaped a nation. His reign remains one of the most dramatic and transformative periods in British history. His legacy is a complex tapestry of ambition, love, betrayal, and reform. The changes he implemented laid the groundwork for the future of England, influencing the course of its history for centuries to come. Stay tuned for more tales of the Tudor dynasty, where power, passion, and politics intertwine to shape the destiny of a nation. From the rise of Elizabeth I to the fall of Mary, Queen of Scots, the Tudor era is a period of intrigue and transformation that continues to captivate us to this day. Join us as we delve deeper into the lives and legacies of the Tudor monarchs, exploring the triumphs and tragedies that defined their reigns. The story of Henry VIII is just the beginning of a saga that would see England emerge as a powerful and influential nation on the world stage. The Tudor dynasty's impact on British history is undeniable, and its legacy continues to be felt in the modern era. From religious reforms to political upheavals, the Tudors left an indelible mark on the nation. Stay with us as we uncover the fascinating stories of this remarkable period in history. Stay tuned for more tales of the Tudor dynasty. Gap-0.5s. Henry VIII's policies were as transformative as his personal life. He centralized power, reducing the influence of the nobility and increasing the efficiency of the government. Imagine a kingdom where the king's will was absolute, and the old guard of the nobility had to bow to the new order. His financial policies, though often controversial, helped stabilize the economy. The coffers of the crown, once depleted, began to fill. Taxes were reformed, and a more modern financial system took root. Henry's reign saw the establishment of the Royal Navy, which would become a cornerstone of British power. Picture fleets of ships ready to defend and expand the realm, setting the stage for centuries of naval dominance. His legal reforms laid the groundwork for the modern British legal system. Courts were restructured, and the law became an instrument of royal authority. Despite his many flaws, Henry VIII's policies had a lasting impact on England. His vision of a strong, centralized state transformed the nation, leaving a legacy that endured long after his death. Henry VIII, a king not just of personal drama, but of profound policy changes. Stay tuned for more tales of the Tudor dynasty. Henry VIII was not just a king, he was a patron of the arts. His court was a vibrant center of culture, attracting artists, musicians, and scholars from across Europe. Imagine a grand hall filled with the sounds of lutes and viols, the walls adorned with tapestries and paintings, and the air thick with the scent of fresh ink and parchment. Henry himself was a talented musician and composer. His support for the arts helped foster the English Renaissance, a period of great cultural and artistic achievement. Picture the king not in a throne room but in a music chamber, composing melodies that would echo through the ages. The works produced during his reign continue to be celebrated today. From the intricate designs of Tudor architecture to the timeless compositions that still resonate, Henry's legacy in the arts is as enduring as his political achievements. Through his patronage, he ensured that England not only thrived politically but also blossomed culturally, making his era one of the most remarkable in British history. Henry VIII's children each left their mark on history. Their lives and reigns were a reflection of the turbulent times they lived in, and each one of them contributed uniquely to the shaping of England's future. From religious reforms to cultural renaissance, their legacies are intertwined with the very fabric of English history. His son, Edward VI, continued his father's religious reforms but died young. Ascending to the throne at just 9 years old, Edward was a fervent Protestant, heavily influenced by his advisors. His reign, though brief, was marked by significant efforts to entrench Protestantism in England, including the introduction of the Book of Common Prayer. Mary I, his eldest daughter, sought to restore Catholicism, earning the nickname Bloody Mary for her persecution of Protestants. Her reign was a stark contrast to her brother's, as she reversed many of his policies and sought to bring England back under the papal fold. Her marriage to Philip II of Spain and the Marian persecutions left a lasting, albeit controversial, legacy. Elizabeth I, his second daughter, became one of England's greatest monarchs, ushering in the Elizabethan era. Her reign is often seen as a golden age, marked by the flourishing of English drama, led by playwrights such as William Shakespeare and Christopher Marlowe, and the defeat of the Spanish Armada in 1588, which established England as a formidable naval power. The legacy of Henry VIII's children is a testament to the enduring impact of his reign. Each of his children faced immense challenges and left behind a complex legacy that historians continue to study and debate. Their reigns were a direct consequence of Henry's own tumultuous rule and his relentless pursuit of a male heir. Imagine the young Edward VI, a boy king, navigating the turbulent waters of religious reform. Despite his youth, Edward was determined to continue his father's work, pushing for a Protestant England. His reign saw the establishment of Protestant doctrines and practices that would influence English religion for generations. His reign was short, but his efforts to solidify Protestantism in England were significant. Edward's untimely death at the age of 15 left a power vacuum and a religiously divided nation, setting the stage for the dramatic shifts that would follow under his sister's rules. Picture Mary I, determined to return England to the Catholic fold. Her reign marked by intense religious strife and persecution. Her efforts to reverse the Protestant Reformation led to the execution of hundreds of Protestants, earning her the moniker Bloody Mary. Despite her harsh methods, her reign was a pivotal moment in the religious history of England. And then envision Elizabeth I, the Virgin Queen, whose rule brought stability and prosperity, and whose patronage of the arts rivaled her father's. Elizabeth's reign not only stabilized the nation, but also fostered a cultural renaissance that produced some of the most enduring works of English literature and art. Through these three very different monarchs, the influence of Henry VIII's policies and ambitions can be seen. Each child, in their own way, grappled with the legacy of their father's decisions, whether it was through religious reform, persecution, or cultural patronage. Each child carried forward a piece of his legacy, shaping the future of England in their unique ways. Their reigns were a testament to the enduring influence of Henry VIII, whose quest for a male heir and religious reformation set the stage for their own tumultuous and impactful rules. The story of Henry VIII is not just his own. It is also the story of his children and the lasting imprint they left on the pages of history. Their lives, filled with triumphs and tribulations, continue to captivate and inspire, reminding us of the profound impact one family can have on the course of a nation's history. The legacy of Henry VIII is complex and multifaceted. His reign, which lasted from 1509 to 1547, was marked by significant events that have left an indelible mark on history. From his 6 marriages to his break with the Catholic Church, Henry VIII's actions were driven by personal desires and political ambitions. His larger-than-life personality and the dramatic changes he implemented continue to fascinate historians and the public alike. He is remembered as both a tyrant and a visionary, a ruler whose decisions were often controversial but undeniably transformative. His reign was characterized by a ruthless pursuit of power and control. Yet he also had a vision for a stronger, more unified England. This duality makes him one of the most intriguing figures in British history, a man whose personal desires reshaped a nation, and Henry VIII's quest for a male heir led to a series of marriages and annulments that changed the course of English history. His determination to secure the Tudor dynasty's future drove many of his most significant actions, including his break with the Catholic Church. His break with the Catholic Church had profound religious, political, and social consequences. By establishing the Church of England, Henry VIII not only asserted his authority over religious matters, but also set the stage for future conflicts and reforms. This monumental decision altered the religious landscape of England and had far-reaching effects on European politics. The changes he initiated set the stage for the English Reformation and the rise of Protestantism. This period of religious upheaval saw the dismantling of monastic institutions and the redistribution of their wealth, which had significant economic and social implications. The Reformation also paved the way for greater religious diversity and the eventual establishment of Protestantism as a major force in England. Henry's reign remains one of the most dramatic and transformative periods in British history, a time of great upheaval and lasting change. His policies and reforms not only reshaped the monarchy, but also had a lasting impact on the nation's identity and governance. A time of great upheaval and lasting change, Henry VIII's reign was marked by significant events that continue to influence modern Britain. The dissolution of the monasteries, for example, not only altered the religious landscape, but also had profound economic and social effects. His dissolution of the monasteries not only altered the religious landscape, but also redistributed wealth and power, impacting the social fabric of England. This move weakened the Catholic Church's influence and allowed Henry to consolidate his power further. Impacting the social fabric of England, the redistribution of wealth from the monasteries to the crown and the nobility created new power dynamics and opportunities for social mobility. This period of change laid the groundwork for the modern British state. The king's 6 marriages, driven by his quest for a male heir, led to significant political and dynastic shifts. Each marriage brought its own set of challenges and consequences, influencing the course of English history in various ways. Led to significant political and dynastic shifts, these marriages were not just personal affairs, but also political maneuvers that affected alliances and power structures within and beyond England. The quest for a male heir was a driving force behind many of Henry's decisions. Yet it is not just the policies and reforms that define Henry VIII's legacy. His reign also saw a cultural and artistic renaissance that flourished under his patronage. The court of Henry VIII became a vibrant centre of music, literature and learning. It is also the cultural and artistic renaissance that flourished under his patronage. The court of Henry VIII became a vibrant centre of music, literature and learning, attracting some of the greatest minds of the time and laying the groundwork for future generations. The court of Henry VIII became a vibrant centre of music, literature and learning, laying the groundwork for future generations. This cultural flourishing was a significant aspect of his reign, contributing to the rich tapestry of the Tudor period, laying the groundwork for future generations. The cultural and artistic achievements of Henry's court had a lasting impact on English society. The Renaissance spirit that permeated his court influenced the arts, education and intellectual life in England for years to come. As we reflect on his reign, we see a ruler whose ambitions and actions continue to reverberate through the centuries. Henry VIII's legacy is a complex tapestry of power, religion, culture and transformation. We see a ruler whose ambitions and actions continue to reverberate through the centuries. The story of Henry VIII is not merely a tale of a single monarch, but a narrative of a nation's transformation. The story of Henry VIII is not merely a tale of a single monarch, but a narrative of a nation's transformation. a saga of power, religion, and enduring influence. His reign set the stage for the modern British state and left a legacy that continues to be studied and debated. But a narrative of a nation's transformation, a saga of power, religion, and enduring influence. The impact of Henry VIII's reign is still felt today, as his actions and decisions continue to shape the course of British history. A saga of power, religion, and enduring influence. The legacy of Henry VIII is a testament to the profound and lasting impact one ruler can have on the course of history. Ever wondered how a single queen changed the course of history? Let's embark on a journey to discover the magic of Elizabeth I's Golden Age, a period that not only defined an era but also laid the foundation for modern England. Elizabeth I, often referred to as the Virgin Queen, ruled from 1558 to 1603. Her reign, spanning 45 years, was a time of immense change and development. It was an era packed with drama, brilliance, and transformation, often called the Golden Age. But what made this period so special? Let's delve into some of the key events and figures that defined Elizabeth's reign. One of the most significant events was the defeat of the Spanish Armada in 1588. Imagine this, a fleet of 130 ships, the pride of Spain, sailing to conquer England. The Spanish Armada was considered invincible, and its mission was to overthrow Elizabeth and restore Catholicism in England. But Elizabeth, with her strategic genius and a pinch of luck, turned the tide. England's navy, smaller but swifter, managed to outmaneuver the Spanish fleet. The English ships, aided by favorable winds and innovative tactics, inflicted significant damage on the Armada. The defeat of the Spanish Armada was more than just a military victory. It was a turning point that secured England's future as a naval powerhouse. This triumph not only boosted national pride, but also marked the beginning of England's dominance on the seas. Elizabeth's reign wasn't just about battles and military prowess, it was also a time of cultural renaissance. The arts flourished, and the world was introduced to timeless stories that still captivate us today. William Shakespeare, the bard himself, flourished during this time, penning masterpieces like Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, and many others. His works, filled with rich language and deep human insight, have left an indelible mark on literature and theatre. The Elizabethan era was also a time of exploration and discovery. Adventurers like Sir Francis Drake and Sir Walter Raleigh set sail to explore new lands, bringing back wealth and knowledge that would shape England's future. These voyages of discovery expanded England's horizons and laid the groundwork for the British Empire. The spirit of adventure and curiosity that characterized this period was a testament to the dynamic and forward-thinking nature of Elizabeth's reign. And let's not forget Elizabeth's personal life. She made a bold choice, refusing to marry, ensuring her power remained undiluted. Known as the Virgin Queen, her independence inspired a new vision of female leadership and strength. Elizabeth's decision to remain unmarried was not just a personal choice, but a political strategy. By not marrying, she avoided the potential pitfalls of foreign alliances and domestic power struggles. Her singular focus on ruling allowed her to maintain control and stability in a time of great change. Her leadership style was a blend of pragmatism and charisma. Elizabeth was known for her intelligence, wit, and ability to connect with her subjects. She used her image and public appearances to cultivate loyalty and project strength. Elizabeth I didn't just reign, she transformed England, setting the stage for a modern nation. Her legacy is a testament to the power of vision and resilience. From naval victories to cultural triumphs, her influence is still felt today. So, the next time you think of the Golden Age, remember it was Elizabeth's brilliance that lit the way. Her era was a beacon of progress, innovation, and cultural richness that continues to inspire and captivate us. Elizabeth's reign was a period of extraordinary achievement and transformation. Her ability to navigate the complexities of politics, culture, and international relations set her apart as one of history's most remarkable leaders. The Golden Age was not just a time of prosperity, but a period that redefined what it meant to be a nation. Elizabeth's vision and determination laid the groundwork for the future, shaping England into a powerful and influential country. Her legacy is a reminder that leadership is not just about power, but about inspiring others, fostering creativity, and embracing change. Elizabeth I's golden age remains a shining example of what can be achieved with vision, courage, and resilience. As we look back on this remarkable period, we see a time of great innovation and cultural richness. The stories, art, and achievements of the Elizabethan era continue to resonate with us, reminding us of the enduring power of human creativity and ambition. Elizabeth I's golden age was a time when England truly began to shine on the world stage. Her reign was marked by a spirit of exploration, artistic flourishing, and strategic brilliance that set the course for centuries to come. So as we celebrate the legacy of Elizabeth I, let's remember the lessons of her golden age. It was a time of vision, resilience, and transformation that continues to inspire us today. Elizabeth I's story is a testament to the power of leadership and the enduring impact of a visionary ruler. Her golden age remains a beacon of progress and cultural richness that continues to captivate and inspire us. From the defeat of the Spanish Armada to the flourishing of the arts, Elizabeth's reign was a time of extraordinary achievement. Her legacy is a reminder of the power of vision, resilience, and the enduring impact of a remarkable leader. So the next time you think of the Golden Age, remember it was Elizabeth's brilliance that lit the way. Her era was a beacon of progress, innovation, and cultural richness that continues to inspire and captivate us. Elizabeth I's reign was a period of extraordinary achievement and transformation. Her ability to navigate the complexities of politics, culture, and international relations set her apart as one of history's most remarkable leaders. The Golden Age was not just a time of prosperity, but a period that redefined what it meant to be a nation. Elizabeth's vision and determination laid the groundwork for the future, shaping England into a powerful and influential country. Her legacy is a reminder that leadership is not just about power, but about inspiring others, fostering creativity, and embracing change. Elizabeth I's golden age remains a shining example of what can be achieved with vision, courage, and resilience. As we look back on this remarkable period, we see a time of great innovation and cultural richness. The stories, art, and achievements of the Elizabethan era continue to resonate with us, reminding us of the enduring power of human creativity and ambition. Elizabeth I's golden age was a time when England truly began to shine on the world stage. Her reign was marked by a spirit of exploration, artistic flourishing, and strategic brilliance that set the course for centuries to come. So as we celebrate the legacy of Elizabeth I, let's remember the lessons of her golden age. It was a time of vision, resilience, and transformation that continues to inspire us today. Elizabeth I's story is a testament to the power of leadership and the enduring impact of a visionary ruler. Her golden age remains a beacon of progress and cultural richness that continues to captivate and inspire us. From the defeat of the Spanish Armada to the flourishing of the arts, Elizabeth's reign was a time of extraordinary achievement. Her legacy is a reminder of the power of vision, resilience, and the enduring impact of a remarkable leader. So the next time you think of the Golden Age, remember it was Elizabeth's brilliance that lit the way. Her era was a beacon of progress, innovation, and cultural richness that continues to inspire and captivate us. Elizabeth I's reign was a period of extraordinary achievement and transformation. Her ability to navigate the complexities of politics, culture, and international relations set her apart as one of history's most remarkable leaders. If you don't like royal drama but still love epic tales, then this story is for you. The year was 1649, and England was in turmoil. King Charles I, embroiled in a bitter struggle with Parliament, found himself at the centre of a civil war. On one side, the Cavaliers loyal to the crown, on the other, the Roundheads led by the resolute Oliver Cromwell. Cromwell's new model army triumphed and the king was captured. But this wasn't just a battle of swords and muskets, it was a clash of ideologies, a fight for the very soul of England. On a cold January day, Charles I walked onto the scaffold in front of Whitehall Palace. The air was thick with tension as the crowd gathered, breaths held in anticipation. King Charles, steadfast and composed, gave his final speech declaring his innocence and his divine right to rule. And then the unthinkable happened. The axe fell and England's monarchy was shattered. This execution was not just the end of a king, it marked the rise of the English Republic under Cromwell. Tune in next time as we explore the aftermath of this monumental event and the lasting impact it had on England and beyond. History is more than dates and names. It's the thrilling tale of humanity itself. Stay curious, history buffs. The story of King Charles I is one of the most dramatic and pivotal moments in English history. It is a tale of power, betrayal, and the relentless pursuit of ideals. The conflict between the monarchy and Parliament had been brewing for years, with tensions escalating to a breaking point. The English Civil War was not just a series of battles, it was a profound struggle that would shape the future of the nation. Imagine walking through the streets of 17th century England, where the air was thick with uncertainty and fear. The country was divided, families were torn apart, and the very fabric of society was being tested. The Cavaliers, with their flamboyant attire and unwavering loyalty to the king, represented the old order. They believed in the divine right of kings, a principle that had governed England for centuries. On the other side were the Roundheads, named for their distinctive short haircuts. They were Puritans driven by a desire for a more just and equitable society. Led by Oliver Cromwell, a man of iron will and unyielding determination, they sought to challenge the absolute power of the monarchy. The new model army, disciplined and well-organized, became the instrument of their revolutionary vision. King Charles I, a man of regal bearing and deep convictions, found himself at the heart of this maelstrom. His belief in his divine right to rule was unshakable, and he was willing to fight to preserve his throne. But the tide of history was against him. The battles raged on, with victories and defeats on both sides, but the momentum began to shift in favor of the parliamentarians. The decisive moment came when Cromwell's new model army achieved a series of crucial victories. The king's forces were gradually worn down and the royalist cause began to crumble. The capture of King Charles I was a turning point, a moment that signaled the end of an era. But the story was far from over. The trial of the king was a spectacle unlike any other, a dramatic courtroom drama that captivated the nation. The trial was not just about the fate of one man, it was a trial of the very concept of monarchy itself. The charges against Charles V were grave: treason, tyranny, and the shedding of innocent blood. The king, dignified and resolute, defended himself with eloquence and passion. He argued that no court had the authority to judge a monarch, that his power was ordained by God. But the tide of public opinion had turned. The parliamentarians, fueled by a sense of justice and a vision of a new order, were determined to see the king held accountable. The trial ended with a verdict that shocked the world. King Charles I was found guilty and sentenced to death. The execution of a reigning monarch was an unprecedented act, a moment that would reverberate through history. On that fateful January day, as the king walked to the scaffold, the weight of history was palpable. The crowd, a mix of loyalists and parliamentarians, watched in stunned silence. The king's final speech was a poignant reminder of the human cost of political conflict. He spoke of his unwavering belief in his cause, of his love for his people, and of his hope for a better future. And then, with a single stroke of the executioner's axe, the reign of King Charles I came to a tragic end. The monarchy was shattered and England was thrust into a new era. The rise of the English Republic under Oliver Cromwell marked a radical departure from the past. It was a time of experimentation, of new ideas and new challenges. The execution of King Charles I was more than just a historical event. It was a turning point that reshaped the course of English history. It raised profound questions about the nature of power, the role of government, and the rights of individuals. The legacy of this moment can still be felt today as we continue to grapple with the same fundamental issues. As we look back on this dramatic chapter, we are reminded of the complexities and contradictions of history. The story of King Charles I is a testament to the enduring struggle for justice and the relentless pursuit of ideals. It is a story that continues to inspire and challenge us, a reminder that history is not just a series of dates and names, but a living, breathing narrative that shapes our world. So, stay curious, history buffs. There are always new stories to uncover, new perspectives to explore, and new lessons to learn. The past is a treasure trove of wisdom and insight waiting to be discovered. Join us next time as we delve deeper into the aftermath of King Charles I's execution and the profound impact it had on England and beyond. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the spirit of history alive. James II's reign, starting in 1685, was marked by unrest. His Catholicism and pro-Catholic policies alienated many. The birth of his son in 1688 escalated tensions, threatening Protestant stability. William of Orange, invited by English lords, led the Glorious Revolution, reshaping English history. As tensions mounted under James II, the Immortal Seven secretly dispatched a letter to William of Orange. They pleaded for his intervention to safeguard Protestantism and their liberties. William saw an opportunity to counter French ambitions. In November 1688, he landed in England, welcomed by many. James II faced desertion, leading to a peaceful power shift. The arrival of William of Orange on English soil marked a turning point in the struggle for power. His forces, met not with armed resistance but with open arms by much of the English populace, swiftly gained control of key cities. James II, deserted by his own troops and abandoned by many of his closest advisors, found himself alone and vulnerable. The Glorious Revolution, as it came to be known, unfolded with remarkable speed and minimal bloodshed. James II, facing the overwhelming might of William's army and the erosion of his own support, chose flight over confrontation. This bloodless transfer of power, a testament to the shifting political landscape and the desire for stability, ushered in a new era in English history. The English Parliament, eager to legitimize the change in regime and prevent a resurgence of absolutist rule, declared the throne vacant. This bold move, a clear assertion of parliamentary authority, set the stage for a new kind of monarchy, one bound by the rule of law and the will of the people. The throne, offered to William and Mary as joint monarchs, came with conditions. Parliament, determined to prevent the abuses of power that had characterized James II's reign, insisted on a set of principles that would define the relationship between the monarchy and the governed. These principles, enshrined in the English Bill of Rights, would have profound and lasting consequences for the development of democracy in England. The English Bill of Rights, passed by Parliament in 1689, stands as a cornerstone of constitutional monarchy. This landmark document, a direct response to the autocratic tendencies of James II, set out a clear set of limitations on royal power, establishing the supremacy of Parliament and guaranteeing certain fundamental rights to the English people. The Bill of Rights explicitly forbade the monarch from suspending laws or levying taxes without parliamentary consent. This effectively curtailed the king's ability to act unilaterally, requiring him to govern in accordance with the will of Parliament. This principle of parliamentary sovereignty, enshrined in law, would prove to be a defining characteristic of the English political system. Furthermore, the Bill of Rights guaranteed freedom of speech and debate in Parliament, ensuring that elected representatives could voice their opinions without fear of reprisal. This provision was crucial in establishing a robust and accountable legislature capable of representing the interests of the people. The Bill of Rights also addressed the contentious issue of religious freedom, granting a degree of tolerance to nonconformist Protestants, though Catholics remained excluded. This represented a significant step towards religious pluralism, although full religious equality remained a distant goal. The Glorious Revolution and the Bill of Rights, while not establishing a fully fledged democracy, laid the groundwork for a more accountable and representative government in England. Section 5. William and Mary, architects of a constitutional monarchy. William and Mary, crowned joint monarchs of England in 1689, played a pivotal role in shaping the constitutional monarchy that emerged from the Glorious Revolution. Their acceptance of the throne was conditional on their adherence to the principles enshrined in the Bill of Rights, marking a significant shift in the balance of power between the monarchy and Parliament. William III, a pragmatic and astute ruler, understood the importance of working within the framework established by Parliament. He recognized that his legitimacy stemmed not from divine right, but from the consent of the governed as expressed through their elected representatives. This recognition marked a departure from the absolutist tendencies of his Stuart predecessors. Mary II, while playing a less prominent role in government than her husband, was nevertheless a popular figure who provided a vital link to the Stuart dynasty. Her unwavering Protestantism and her commitment to the principles of the Glorious Revolution helped to solidify the new order. The reign of William and Mary witnessed a period of relative stability and prosperity. The constitutional framework established in 1688 laid the foundation for a more balanced and representative system of government, one in which Parliament played an increasingly important role. The Glorious Revolution and the reign of William and Mary marked a turning point in English history, paving the way for the development of parliamentary democracy. Section 6. The Legacy of 1688, Parliamentary Supremacy and the Road to Democracy. The Glorious Revolution of 1688 stands as a watershed moment in English history, marking a decisive shift from absolute monarchy to constitutional monarchy. The events of 1688, culminating in the establishment of parliamentary supremacy and the enshrinement of certain fundamental rights, had a profound and lasting impact on the development of democracy in England. The principle of parliamentary sovereignty, firmly established by the Bill of Rights, ensured that the monarch could no longer rule without the consent of Parliament. This fundamental shift in power dynamics paved the way for a more representative system of government, in which the will of the people, as expressed through their elected representatives, held sway. The Glorious Revolution also had a significant impact on the development of individual liberties. The Bill of Rights guaranteed certain fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech and debate in Parliament, and provided a degree of religious toleration. These rights, though limited by modern standards, represented a significant step towards a more just and equitable society. The legacy of 1688 is complex and multifaceted. While it did not establish a full-fledged democracy, it laid the groundwork for the gradual expansion of suffrage and the development of a more participatory political culture. The Glorious Revolution serves as a reminder that the fight for liberty and democracy is an ongoing process, one that requires constant vigilance and a willingness to challenge the status quo. Section 7. A lasting impact. The Glorious Revolution's influence on the world. The Glorious Revolution's impact extended far beyond the shores of England, inspiring political thinkers and reformers across the globe. Its principles of limited government, individual liberty, and popular sovereignty resonated with those struggling against tyranny and oppression. The American colonists, deeply influenced by the ideas of John Locke, who had justified the Glorious Revolution, drew upon its principles during their own struggle for independence. The Declaration of Independence, with its emphasis on natural rights and the consent of the governed, echoes the spirit of 1688. The French Revolution, though far more radical and bloody than its English predecessor, was also shaped by the ideas of popular sovereignty and individual liberty that had taken root in England. The revolutionaries' demands for liberty, equality, and fraternity found resonance in the principles espoused during the Glorious Revolution. The Glorious Revolution's influence can be seen in the wave of democratization that swept across Europe and other parts of the world in the 19th and 20th centuries. Its enduring legacy lies in its affirmation of the fundamental principles of limited government, individual rights, and the rule of law. Section 8. Conclusion. The enduring significance of a bloodless revolution. The Glorious Revolution of 1688 stands as a testament to the power of ideas and the enduring human aspiration for freedom and self-governance. This bloodless revolution, a remarkable feat in an era marked by political upheaval and violence, fundamentally reshaped the English political landscape, establishing the supremacy of Parliament and laying the groundwork for a more just and equitable society. The Glorious Revolution's legacy extends far beyond the shores of England. Its principles of limited government, individual liberty, and popular sovereignty have inspired generations of reformers and revolutionaries, shaping the course of history and contributing to the advancement of democracy around the world. As we reflect on the significance of 1688, we are reminded that the fight for liberty and democracy is an ongoing process. The principles enshrined in the Bill of Rights, hard-won through centuries of struggle, require constant vigilance and a willingness to defend them against those who would seek to erode them. The glorious revolution serves as a beacon of hope, reminding us that even in the darkest of times, positive change is possible. Ever wondered what it was like to live in an era where the sun never set on the British Empire? Imagine a time when the world was painted in shades of red, symbolizing the vast reach of British influence. The Victorian era, named after Queen Victoria, was a period of immense change and progress. It was a time when the British Empire was at its zenith, stretching across continents and touching the lives of millions. Queen Victoria reigned for over 60 years, overseeing the largest empire in history. Her era was marked by monumental changes and innovations that reshaped the world. Under her rule, the British Empire expanded to unimaginable lengths, painting the world map red. Countries across continents fell under the Union Jack, making the Victorian era synonymous with global dominance. But it wasn't just about territorial expansion. The era was also a time of great social, economic, and technological transformation. The Industrial Revolution, which began in the late 18th century, reached its peak during the Victorian era. Factories, steam trains, and bustling London streets became the heartbeat of a new age. Imagine living in a time where the hum of machinery was the soundtrack to progress. The Industrial Revolution wasn't just a game changer, it was the game. The era saw the rise of new technologies and innovations that transformed daily life. The telephone, the light bulb, and countless other inventions made their debut, forever changing the way people lived and worked. Advances in medicine and public health improved life expectancy and quality of life. Education became more accessible, laying the foundation for future generations. The era also saw the beginnings of the women's suffrage movement, as women began to fight for their rights. Socially, the era saw the rise of the middle class, with new fashions and social norms. Theatres and opera houses flourished, bringing culture to the masses. The Victorian era was also a golden age for literature. Authors like Charles Dickens and the Bronte sisters penned works that still resonate today. Queen Victoria wasn't just a queen, she was a symbol of stability and power. Known as the grandmother of Europe, her extensive family ties influenced European politics for generations. Talk about a family tree with deep roots. From the grandeur of Buckingham Palace to the gritty underbelly of industrial cities, Queen Victoria's reign left an indelible mark on history. So next time you marvel at a steam train or ponder the British influence around the world, remember it all ties back to this extraordinary era. The Victorian era was a time of profound transformation, leaving a legacy that continues to shape our world today. It was an era of contrasts, where the opulence of the upper class coexisted with the struggles of the working class. The advancements in technology and industry brought about significant changes in the way people lived and worked. The rise of factories and mass production led to urbanization, with people flocking to cities in search of better opportunities. However, this rapid industrialization also brought about its own set of challenges. The working conditions in factories were often harsh, with long hours and low wages. Child labor was rampant, and the gap between the rich and the poor widened. Despite these challenges, the Victorian era was a time of great progress and innovation. The advancements in science and technology laid the groundwork for the modern world. The era also saw significant social reforms, including improvements in public health, education, and workers' rights. The legacy of the Victorian era can still be seen today in the architecture, literature, and cultural institutions that continue to shape our world. It was a time of great change, but also a time of great hope and possibility. The Victorian era was a period of contrasts, where the old world met the new, and tradition clashed with progress. It was a time of great achievements, but also a time of great challenges. Yet, through it all, the spirit of innovation and progress prevailed, leaving a lasting legacy that continues to inspire us today. So as we look back on this remarkable era, let us remember the lessons it has taught us and the legacy it has left behind. The Victorian era was truly a time of transformation, and its impact can still be felt in our world today. The British Empire expanded to unimaginable lengths, painting the world map red. Countries across continents fell under the Union Jack, making the Victorian era synonymous with global dominance. From the grandeur of Buckingham Palace to the gritty underbelly of industrial cities, Queen Victoria's reign left an indelible mark on history. So next time you marvel at a steam train or ponder the British influence around the world, remember it all ties back to this extraordinary era. The Victorian era was a time of profound transformation. leaving a legacy that continues to shape our world today. It was an era of contrasts where the opulence of the upper class coexisted with the struggles of the working class. The advancements in technology and industry brought about significant changes in the way people lived and worked. The rise of factories and mass production led to urbanization, with people flocking to cities in search of better opportunities. However, this rapid industrialization also brought about its own set of challenges. The working conditions in factories were often harsh, with long hours and low wages. Child labor was rampant, and the gap between the rich and the poor widened. Despite these challenges, the Victorian era was a time of great progress and innovation. The advancements in science and technology laid the groundwork for the modern world. The era also saw significant social reforms, including improvements in public health, education, and workers' rights. The legacy of the Victorian era can still be seen today in the architecture, literature, and cultural institutions that continue to shape our world. It was a time of great change, but also a time of great hope and possibility. The Victorian era was a period of contrasts, where the old world met the new and tradition clashed with progress. It was a time of great achievements, but also a time of great challenges. Yet through it all, the spirit of innovation and progress prevailed, leaving a lasting legacy that continues to inspire us today. So, as we look back on this remarkable era, let us remember the lessons it has taught us and the legacy it has left behind. The Victorian era was truly a time of transformation, and its impact can still be felt in our world today. The Victorian era was also a golden age for literature. Authors like Charles Dickens and the Bronte sisters penned works that still resonate today. Theatres and opera houses flourished, bringing culture to the masses. Socially, the era saw the rise of the middle class with new fashions and social norms. Technologically, it was a time of great innovation. The telephone, the light bulb, and countless other inventions transformed daily life. Advances in medicine and public health improved life expectancy and quality of life. Education became more accessible, laying the foundation for future generations. The era also saw the beginnings of the women's suffrage movement as women began to fight for their rights. Truly, the Victorian era was a time of profound transformation, leaving a legacy that continues to shape our world today. Theatres and opera houses flourished, bringing culture to the masses. Socially, the era saw the rise of the middle class with new fashions and social norms. Technologically, it was a time of great innovation. The telephone, the light bulb, and countless other inventions transformed daily life. Advances in medicine and public health improved life expectancy and quality of life. Education became more accessible, laying the foundation for future generations. The era also saw the beginnings of the women's suffrage movement as women began to fight for their rights. Truly, the Victorian era was a time of profound transformation, leaving a legacy that continues to shape our world today. Technologically, it was a time of great innovation. The telephone, the light bulb, and countless other inventions transformed daily life. Advances in medicine and public health improved life expectancy and quality of life. Education became more accessible, laying the foundation for future generations. The era also saw the beginnings of the women's suffrage movement as women began to fight for their rights. Advances in medicine and public health improved life expectancy and quality of life. Education became more accessible, laying the foundation for future generations. The era also saw the beginnings of the women's suffrage movement as women began to fight for their rights. Truly, the Victorian era was a time of profound transformation, leaving a legacy that continues to shape our world today. The era also saw the beginnings of the women's suffrage movement, as women began to fight for their rights. Truly, the Victorian era was a time of profound transformation, leaving a legacy that continues to shape our world today. Truly, the Victorian era was a time of profound transformation, leaving a legacy that continues to shape our world today. Truly, the Victorian era was a time of profound transformation, leaving a legacy that continues to shape our world today. If your idea of monarchy is all pomp and ceremony, think again. The British monarchy has a history that's far more complex and intriguing than just grand events and royal appearances. It's a story of resilience, adaptation, and transformation, especially during the tumultuous times of the 20th century. The two world wars flipped the script on the British monarchy. These global conflicts not only tested the nation's military might, but also the very fabric of its royal institution. The monarchy had to evolve rapidly to stay relevant and maintain the nation's morale. Let's start with Edward VIII. A charismatic and controversial figure, his reign was short but impactful. He was the king who gave up the throne for love in 1936. His relationship with Wallis Simpson, an American divorcee, was deemed unacceptable by the Church of England and the British government. This led to a constitutional crisis, forcing Edward to choose between the crown and his heart. His abdication rocked the monarchy and paved the way for his brother George VI to take over. George VI, initially reluctant, had to step into a role he never expected to fill. Now, George VI wasn't just any king. He was a symbol of stability and courage during one of the darkest periods in British history. He led Britain through World War II, a time when the country needed a steady hand. His leadership was crucial in maintaining national morale. Imagine being bombed nightly during the Blitz, with the constant threat of destruction looming over your head, and hearing your king's steady voice on the radio, giving you hope. George VI's speeches were a beacon of resilience and determination, and then there's Winston Churchill, the indomitable Prime Minister whose leadership was as crucial as the King's, the Prime Minister who stood shoulder to shoulder with George VI. Their partnership was instrumental in navigating the war. Together they navigated the darkest days of the war. Their combined efforts were pivotal in keeping the nation's spirit alive. Churchill's speeches and the King's presence kept the nation's spirit alive. Their words were more than just rhetoric, they were lifelines for a beleaguered populace. World War II wasn't just a test of military might, it was a test of the monarchy's resilience and its ability to connect with the people. It was a test of the monarchy's resilience. The royal family had to show that they were in it together with the people, facing the same dangers and hardships. The royal family stayed in London, even as bombs fell around them. This act of solidarity was more than symbolic, it was a powerful statement of unity. This act of solidarity with the people reshaped the monarchy's image. They were no longer distant figures, but were seen as part of the national fabric. Before the wars, the monarchy was seen as distant and ceremonial. They were figures of tradition, often removed from the everyday lives of the people. Afterward, they were seen as symbols of unity and resilience. The wars had humanized them, bringing them closer to the people they served. So there you have it, the two world wars reshaped the British monarchy from abdication to resilience. They emerged stronger, more connected to their people, and more relevant than ever. Two world wars reshaped the British monarchy from abdication to resilience. The challenges they faced and overcame redefined their role in British society. History changed them, and they in turn helped change history. Their actions during these critical times left an indelible mark on the nation and the world. After George VI, his daughter, Queen Elizabeth II, ascended the throne in 1952. Her reign would see the monarchy adapt to a rapidly changing world, facing new challenges and opportunities. Her reign saw the monarchy adapt to a rapidly changing world. From the end of the British Empire to the rise of the Commonwealth, she navigated it all with grace and determination. From the end of the British Empire to the rise of the Commonwealth, she navigated it all. Her ability to maintain the monarchy's relevance in a post-colonial world was nothing short of remarkable. The monarchy continued to evolve, facing new challenges and embracing modernity. The 1960s and 1970s brought social changes that required the monarchy to adapt once again. The 1980s and 1990s brought both triumphs and tribulations, including the global fascination with Princess Diana. Her charisma and humanitarian efforts captivated the world. Her humanitarian efforts and untimely death left an indelible mark on the monarchy. Diana's legacy continues to influence the royal family and their approach to public service. Today, the British monarchy continues to balance tradition with the demands of the modern world. They are constantly evolving, finding new ways to stay relevant and connected to the people. They remain a symbol of continuity and resilience, adapting to the times while honoring their legacy. The monarchy's ability to evolve while maintaining its core values is a testament to its enduring strength. Queen Elizabeth II's reign saw the monarchy through the turn of the millennium. Her steady presence provided continuity as the world entered a new era. Prince Charles, the longest-serving heir apparent, has taken on more responsibilities, preparing for his future role as king. His work on environmental issues and sustainable living has brought a modern touch to the monarchy. The younger generation, including Prince William and Kate Middleton, as well as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, have brought new energy and perspectives to the royal family. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's decision to step back from royal duties and their move to North America have sparked discussions about the future of the monarchy and its role in a modern, globalized world. The COVID-19 pandemic presented new challenges, with the royal family adapting to virtual engagements and finding new ways to connect with the public during a time of global crisis. Queen Elizabeth II's address to the nation during the pandemic was a moment of reassurance, echoing the resilience and unity that have defined her reign. As the monarchy continues to navigate the complexities of the 21st century, their ability to adapt while maintaining their core values remains a testament to their enduring strength. Want more royal insights? Hit that subscribe button and let's dive deeper into the past. Join us as we explore the fascinating history of the British monarchy and its impact on the world. Queen Elizabeth II, a name that echoes through history. Her legacy is one of unparalleled dedication and service. She reigned for over 70 years, becoming the longest-serving British monarch. A steadfast presence in a changing world, she witnessed and adapted to immense global transformations. Her journey as monarch, remarkable. From the post-war era to the digital age, she remained a constant. She ascended the throne in 1952, following the death of her father, King George VI. A young woman, just 25 years old, she took on the immense responsibility with grace. The weight of the crown upon her shoulders, she vowed to serve her people with unwavering dedication. Her reign, a testament to duty and devotion. She embodied the spirit of public service. She navigated Britain through times of joy and sorrow, offering comfort and stability. Always with grace and resilience, she faced challenges head-on and celebrated triumphs with her people. Her commitment to her country, unwavering. She was a beacon of hope and continuity, a symbol of stability and continuity. Queen Elizabeth II's reign will be remembered for generations to come. Born in 1926, Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Windsor was never expected to become queen. Her early years were spent in the company of her family, unaware of the destiny that awaited her. The abdication of her uncle, King Edward VIII, in 1936, changed her life forever, placing her father on the throne. As a princess, she served in the Auxiliary Territorial Service during World War II, showcasing her dedication early on. In 1947, she married Prince Philip, a union that would last over 7 decades. Together, they raised 4 children, balancing family life with royal duties. 1953, a year that would forever change the course of British history. A year etched in British history, not just for the United Kingdom, but for the entire world. The coronation of Queen Elizabeth II was a momentous occasion, a spectacle witnessed by the world. Millions watched on television, captivated by the grandeur and tradition. A young queen radiant in her crown. The significance of this event was immense, symbolizing continuity and hope. It marked the beginning of a new Elizabethan era, a time of renewal and rebuilding after the hardships of World War II, a time of hope and optimism, where the British people looked forward to a brighter future. The Queen, a beacon of unity and strength, addressed the nation with a promise of dedication and service. Her coronation oath was a promise she kept throughout her reign, guiding the nation with grace and resilience. The public's reaction was overwhelming, with celebrations across the country marking the dawn of a new era. The Queen's wave from the balcony symbolized a new beginning, a shared moment of joy and unity. The royal family faced numerous challenges over the years. Scandals and controversies seemed to follow them relentlessly, often splashed across the front pages of tabloids. The public eye is unforgiving, and the media frenzy only added fuel to the fire, scrutinizing every move and decision. The Queen navigated these turbulent times with a steady hand, addressing the nation during moments of crisis and maintaining a sense of stability. Always with composure and dignity, she became a symbol of resilience and grace under pressure. Princess Diana's tragic death in 1997 sent shockwaves around the world. Her warmth and compassion had touched many lives. The public grieved openly, leaving flowers and tributes. The Queen's response was measured and compassionate. She addressed the nation, offering words of comfort and unity. Behind the scenes, she was also a grandmother mourning the loss of her grandson's mother, balancing her public duties with personal grief. Despite the personal and public challenges, Queen Elizabeth II continued to fulfill her royal duties, meeting world leaders and attending state events with unwavering dedication. Queen Elizabeth II understood the need for change. She modernized the monarchy, made it more accessible to the people. She embraced technology and innovation, used it to connect with her subjects. She championed charitable causes, supported countless organizations, her impact far-reaching and profound. She left an indelible mark on the world, her legacy, one of duty, service, and unwavering devotion to her people. She inspired the younger generation and celebrated cultural diversity. Queen Elizabeth II's legacy, Gap 3S, Queen Elizabeth II's legacy is one of profound impact and lasting influence. Her reign saw the transformation of the British monarchy into a modern institution. She was a symbol of continuity and stability, guiding the nation through times of change. Her dedication to public service and her ability to adapt to the evolving world ensured that the monarchy remained relevant. Her legacy will be remembered for generations as a beacon of duty, service, and unwavering devotion to her people. Queen Elizabeth II reigned for over 70 years, a period marked by immense change and progress. Her reign saw the transformation of the British Empire into the Commonwealth of Nations, and she was a constant presence through decades of social, political, and technological upheaval. She was a symbol of stability and strength for the United Kingdom, embodying the values of duty, service, and resilience. Her unwavering commitment to her role earned her the respect and admiration of people around the world. Her passing in 2022 marked the end of an era, leaving a profound sense of loss among her subjects and admirers. The nation came together to mourn the departure of a beloved monarch who had been a part of their lives for so long. Her eldest son, Charles, immediately became King Charles III, stepping into a role he had been preparing for his entire life. The transition was seamless, yet it signified a significant shift in the monarchy. This transition marked a new chapter in British history, one filled with both hope and uncertainty. The nation was eager to see how the new king would navigate the challenges ahead. Charles's accession was a moment of both celebration and reflection. People celebrated the continuity of the monarchy while reflecting on the legacy of Queen Elizabeth II. The nation mourned the loss of its beloved queen, whose presence had been a comforting constant through many turbulent times. At the same time, people looked to the future with a mix of curiosity and anticipation, wondering what changes the new reign would bring. How would King Charles III lead the monarchy? What new directions would he take, and how would he honor the legacy of his mother while making his own mark? What kind of king would he be? These questions were on the minds of many as they watched the new monarch take his first steps. Charles came to the throne at a time of great change and uncertainty. The world was still grappling with the COVID-19 pandemic, which had upended lives and economies globally. The pandemic had left a lasting impact on society, altering the way people lived, worked, and interacted. The new king would have to address these ongoing challenges. The war in Ukraine had begun, adding to the global sense of instability and concern. The conflict had far-reaching implications, affecting international relations and economies. The UK was facing economic challenges with rising inflation and uncertainties surrounding Brexit. These issues required strong leadership and careful navigation. Amidst these turbulent times, Charles faced the daunting task of stepping into his mother's shoes. He needed to provide stability and reassurance to a nation in flux. The world watched with keen interest as he began his reign, eager to see how King Charles III would shape the future of the British monarchy and address the pressing issues of the day. King Charles III's coronation took place on May 6, 2023. It was a grand ceremony steeped in tradition and symbolism. The event was held at Westminster Abbey, the traditional site of British coronations for centuries. The coronation was a deeply religious service. The Archbishop of Canterbury anointed Charles with holy oil, signifying his divine right to rule. He was then crowned with the St. Edward's crown, a heavy gold crown that symbolizes the monarch's power and authority. The coronation was a global event televised around the world. Millions of people watched as Charles took the oath of office, pledging to serve his country and its people. The ceremony was a reminder of the enduring power of tradition and the role of the monarchy in British society. King Charles III faces a significant challenge. Public opinion about the monarchy is divided. While many Britons remain deeply attached to the institution, support for the monarchy is not as strong as it once was. Polls consistently show a generational divide in attitudes towards the monarchy. Older Britons tend to be more supportive of the institution. Younger generations are more likely to question the relevance of the monarchy in the 21st century. They often express a preference for an elected head of state. This generational divide poses a significant challenge for King Charles III. He must find a way to connect with younger generations and convince them of the continued value of the monarchy. If he fails to do so, support for the institution could continue to decline in the years to come. Internal family disputes have cast a shadow over the early years of Charles's reign. These disputes have not only affected the family dynamics, but have also had a significant impact on public perception of the monarchy. The most significant of these is the ongoing rift between Prince William, the Prince of Wales, and Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex. Once inseparable, the brothers now find themselves on opposite sides of a deep divide. The relationship between the two brothers has been strained for several years. Their differing paths and choices have only widened the gap, making reconciliation seem increasingly difficult. Tensions came to a head in 2020 when Harry and his wife, Meghan Markle, stepped down as senior members of the royal family. This decision, often referred to as Megxit, marked a turning point in the brothers' relationship. The couple's subsequent interview with Oprah Winfrey, in which they made allegations of racism within the royal family, further deepened the rift. The interview sent shockwaves through the nation and the world, bringing private family issues into the public eye. The William and Harry rift is a source of great sadness for many Britons, who view the brothers as symbols of national unity. Their estrangement has left a void in the public's heart, as many had hoped to see them work together for the greater good. The ongoing feud also threatens to damage the reputation of the monarchy, particularly among younger generations who are more likely to sympathize with Harry and Meghan's decision to step back from royal life. This generational divide highlights the evolving views on tradition, duty, and personal freedom within the context of modern royalty. Security concerns have also plagued the royal family in recent years, with various incidents highlighting the vulnerabilities faced by its members. Prince Harry, in particular, has expressed deep concerns about his family's safety in the United Kingdom, especially after stepping back from royal duties. He has been embroiled in a protracted legal battle with the British government over his security arrangements since stepping down from royal duties. This legal tussle has drawn significant media attention and public interest. Harry argues that he and his family are at heightened risk due to their high profile and his previous military service in Afghanistan. His time in the military has made him a potential target, adding to his security concerns. He has offered to pay for police protection while in the UK, but has been refused by the Home Office, which argues that it would be inappropriate to allow private individuals to pay for police services. This refusal has sparked a debate about the fairness and adequacy of security provisions for former royals. The ongoing security dispute has further strained relations between Harry and the rest of the royal family. The tension has been palpable, with both sides standing firm on their positions. It has also raised questions about the ability of the British government to provide adequate security for high-profile individuals, particularly those who have criticised the state. The situation remains unresolved, leaving many to wonder about the future of security for the Duke and his family. Section 6. Relevance in the modern world, adapting to change. Beyond these immediate challenges, the monarchy faces a larger existential question. Can it remain relevant in the modern world? As society evolves, so too must its institutions. The monarchy is no exception. The monarchy must find ways to connect with younger generations who are less likely to be impressed by tradition and ceremony alone. It must demonstrate its continued value in a world grappling with issues like climate change, social inequality, and rapid technological advancement. King Charles III has spoken about his desire to modernize the monarchy and make it more relevant to the lives of ordinary Britons. He has championed causes like environmental sustainability and interfaith dialogue. However, it remains to be seen whether these efforts will be enough to secure the long-term future of the institution. Section 7. The weight of tradition, balancing old and new. Balancing the weight of tradition with the need for modernization is a delicate tightrope walk for any monarch. King Charles III inherits an institution steeped in centuries of history and tradition. These traditions are part of what make the British monarchy so unique and enduring. However, they can also be a barrier to progress. Charles must find a way to respect and uphold the traditions of the monarchy, while also making it more accessible and relatable to modern audiences. This will require careful navigation and a willingness to embrace change while staying true to the core values of the institution. The monarchy has shown a capacity for adaptation throughout its long history. It has weathered storms and emerged stronger. Whether it can continue to do so in the 21st century remains to be seen. Section 8. The future of the monarchy, a crossroads. The future of the British monarchy hangs in the balance. The institution faces a multitude of challenges, both internal and external. Its ability to adapt and evolve will determine whether it continues to thrive or fades into irrelevance. King Charles III has a crucial role to play in shaping the future of the monarchy. He must address the concerns of those who question its relevance while appealing to those who remain staunch supporters. He must heal the rifts within his own family and project an image of unity and strength. The monarchy's fate ultimately rests in the hands of the British people. If they continue to see value in the institution, it will endure. If they do not, it will eventually crumble under the weight of its own history. Section 9. Conclusion, a legacy in the balance. King Charles III's reign is still in its early stages. It is too early to say with any certainty what the future holds for the British monarchy. However, one thing is clear: the institution is at a crossroads. The decisions made by Charles and his successors will have far-reaching consequences. The monarchy's legacy is not one of unblemished glory. It is a complex tapestry woven with threads of power, privilege, tradition, and service. It is an institution that has both benefited from and been burdened by its own history. Whether the monarchy can navigate the challenges of the 21st century and emerge stronger remains to be seen. The world will be watching closely as King Charles III writes the next chapter in the long and storied history of the British monarchy.